The government's favourite child, how the UK abandoned the white working class, ignored black Britons and bent over backwards for Muslim communities. Let's start at the core of the British political illusion. This country never treated all minorities equally. It never cared about fairness. It never cared about diversity. Instead, UK politics has one golden rule: do not upset Muslim communities. This isn't equality. This isn't justice. This is a political protection racket disguised as multiculturalism. Everybody else? White working class people, black Brits, Afro-Caribbeans, mixed race kids, the entire catalogue of Britain's non-elite demographics. They're fighting for spare change while the government rolls out gold-plated carpet for one demographic it's terrified to be seen opposing. This isn't inclusion, this is hierarchy. And that hierarchy is the root cause of Britain's modern extremist boom. The white working class isn't angry because they're racist. They're angry because they're invisible. You can't erase a demographic for 30 straight years and then be shocked when rage mutates. The white working class didn't just get left behind. They got dropped off at the motorway exit with no map and no way home. Their towns fell apart. Their jobs evaporated. Their infrastructure crumbled, their schools collapsed, their services shriveled, their political representation flatlined. And every time they begged for help, Westminster replied, "We'll look into it." They never did, but let a Muslim organisation complain about a headline, a cartoon, a speech, a teacher, a policy, a school rule, an advert, a government paper, and suddenly the entire UK political establishment goes into emergency mode, like someone pulled a fire alarm at Buckingham Palace. The contrast is not subtle. The white working class saw it, they internalised it, they resented it. That resentment didn't appear out of nowhere, the state manufactured it. Black Brits weren't prioritised either, they were ignored and policed. Here's the truth that breaks every liberal fantasy. The UK government never uplifted black British people. It barely tolerated them. Black communities were never pampered, pandered to, prioritised, or politically protected. They got stop and search high exclusion rates, underfunded schools, no political voice, no targeted investment, no cultural sensitivity, endless commissions and reports, no actual policy change. Black Brits didn't get special treatment. They got bureaucracy, surveillance, and broken promises. Meanwhile, Muslim communities got consultation panels, community-specific policies, culturally tailored adjustments, political appeasement, media deference, rapid response sensitivity campaigns, protection from critique. Muslims got a seat at the table. Black Britons got the leftovers, and sometimes not even that. The government's obsession with pleasing Muslim communities created a massive social resentment bomb. Let's call the spade what it is. Muslims became the government's #1 demographic priority, not because of love, not because of equality, but because politicians are terrified of conflict. Every time tensions rose, whether real or imagined, the political class snapped into panic mode. Extra funding, special mediation, religious accommodations, cultural exceptions, official apologies, policy reversals, new guidelines, new protections, new exemptions. British politicians will do more to avoid upsetting one imam than they've ever done to fix 50 years of inequality for literally anyone else. Even major corporations fall in line, councils fall in line, schools fall in line, police forces fall in line, universities fall in line. It's not cultural sensitivity, it's political fear dressed up as moral virtue. And the white working class watched all of this unfold while living inside the carcass of a country that forgot them. Why are they getting everything? The emotional wound that fueled modern white nationalism. White nationalism didn't rise because people woke up craving fascism. It rose because working class white Brits kept seeing a pattern. Every time Muslims complained, things changed. Every time they complained, nothing changed. They saw special treatment where they received none. They saw priority where they received neglect. They saw protection where they received indifference. Add in social media amplification, economic despair, and a government allergic to honesty, And the conclusion many drew was, the government cares about them more than us. It wasn't ideological, it was emotional, and emotions are the fuel of extremism. The far right didn't create the rage. They capitalized on government favoritism. The far right didn't have to invent a narrative. They just pointed at what was already there. Policies adjusted for Muslim communities, national scandals erupting when Muslims were offended, instant political apologies, protests treated with hypersensitivity, cultural concessions, public institutions bending over backwards. The far right simply filled in the blanks. See, you're being replaced. They're the priority now, not you. And honestly, that narrative landed because it felt true to people living through it. Not because Muslims did anything wrong, but because the government absolutely did. Black people saw it too, but had no political shield. Black Brits didn't get government appeasement, they didn't get cultural privilege, they didn't get political fear, they got ignored. Black communities saw that their issues weren't addressed, their concerns weren't prioritised, their complaints didn't trigger reforms, their cultural discomfort didn't change anything, their leaders weren't consulted, their problems didn't make Westminster panic. Black Brits and white working class Brits were both sidelined, just in different ways. But the difference was this: only one group watched another demographic treated as untouchable, and resentment grows fastest when people feel like they're at the bottom of the hierarchy, especially a hierarchy the state itself built. The government didn't engage communities, it built a hierarchy of sensitivities. Here's the raw truth no politician will admit. Who gets ignored? White, working class, black Brits, Afro-Caribbeans, Africans, poor Asians, travellers, rural communities. Who gets managed with kid gloves? Muslim communities. This isn't about justice or morality. It's strategic. Muslim demographics represent high political mobilization, strong communal structures, rapid protest response, international diplomatic consequences, global PR optics, religious sensitivity narratives. So the government treats Muslims like a high-risk, high-importance stakeholder. Everyone else gets treated like a loose file left on the desk. The government's fear-fueled prioritization created the perfect storm. Combine all this and you get white working-class invisibility, black British marginalization, Muslim hyper-prioritization, economic collapse, cultural anxiety, political cowardice, media panic, identity insecurity, and zero investment in cohesion. White nationalism didn't rise despite these things, it rose because of these things. The far right didn't create the fracture. The government did. The far right simply moved into the cracks. Muslim Brits didn't ask to be the favourite child, but they absolutely became one. None of this means Muslims are at fault. They didn't cause the economic decay. They didn't cause government cowardice. They didn't demand political over-accommodation. But the result is undeniable. Muslims became the demographic the government is most afraid to disappoint. That's why their issues get escalated. That's why their concerns get addressed. That's why their sensitivities shape national policy. That's why councils and institutions bend. That's why every organisation approaches Muslim issues with panic-level caution. Not because it's fair, not because it's just, but because the state made them the priority group. Everyone else noticed. The final truth, Britain didn't become divided, it was engineered this way. White nationalism didn't resurge because of multiculturalism, it resurged because of selective multiculturalism, because of hierarchy, because of fear-based governance, because of political cowardice, because the government created a tier system. Tier 1, Muslims, don't offend, don't challenge, adjust policy accordingly. Tier 2, Black Brits, manage, police, commission reports, do nothing. Tier 3, white working class, ignore entirely. You cannot create this structure and expect social peace. The rage was guaranteed, the resentment was guaranteed, the fracture was guaranteed, the far-right resurgence was guaranteed. The government didn't just fail Britain, it sorted Britain into winners and losers, then acted shocked when the losers snapped. My conclusion with no apology. White nationalism is rising because The government abandoned the white working class. The government ignored black communities. The government catered heavily to Muslim communities. The government built a hierarchy instead of a society. The government refused to address resentment honestly. The government ran on fear instead of fairness. The government created the emotional landscape extremism feeds on. This isn't about race. This isn't about religion. This isn't even about Islam. This is about a government too cowardly to serve everyone equally. So it served one group excessively, served one group minimally, and served one group not at all. And Britain is reaping the consequences, not right, not left, just real.